Alright, let's check out what's going on with Crypto.com against the US dollar. Then we'll go and check out how Crypto.com is performing against its Bitcoin pair. Let's jump right into the video. I'm going to start off on the weekly because it's been about a week or so since I've made a Crypto.com video. This chart seems almost alien to me. But as you can see, weekly EMAs are still bullish. They only really started fully forming a couple of months ago. These are obviously going to turn down. I do think we are going to break bearish on these before we do have more to go to the upside. As you can see, you know, I mean, if I clear up my chart, the most important thing in my opinion is that no matter how you draw this, I think even if you draw it from here, even if you want to drag the 786 further down, I think that this is the most bullish you can possibly draw it. And if you do draw it like this, you are absolutely cherry picking the data to the low. You are absolutely cherry picking the data to the high and making it as low as you want to make sure that the 786 is as close to this as you can see. But even when I draw it, absolutely cherry picking it, you can see weekly close is now below the trend line or below the 786 fib. So no matter how you draw it, we have clearly broken bearish on Crypto.com in the short term. That doesn't mean that they won't be able to turn around in a couple of months or so. It simply means at this moment in time we're very clearly bearish, so there's no point in trying to fight the trend. In the past, let's see here, this is brutal. In the past week, and it's only Wednesday at this moment in time, last week we had almost 10 million Crypto.com sold. In this week, coming in at Wednesday, we've got almost 3 million with 2.86 million sold in terms of the volume on Crypto.com. That is exponentially brutal. Let's also go and check out if we've got anything on our oscillators, any types of divergence. So MFI has been heading down. Yeah, this is a low down here as well. So price moving down, oscillators moving down. It doesn't seem like there's any type of divergence on the daily time frame. Weekly time frame, what we're seeing here, we're actually seeing, so your money flow indicator has tried to move up a tiny bit, and what this is happening while the price is going down. So I mean, even if we draw it from here, you can see we are seeing bullish divergence at this moment in time. If I pull up the cheat sheet of the bullish divergences, you can see we're seeing strong bullish divergence where your oscillator's going up and the price is going down. Would I be taking this to the bank at this moment in time? Absolutely not. I think it's very, very important we put the entire market in context and talk about really everything that's going on and not just necessarily what's going on in Crypto.com, because at this moment in time the US dollar is exceptionally strong. The Bitcoin is exceptionally bearish right now. We do look very, very choppy, at least in my opinion. This chart kind of, in my opinion, I think we're going to be moving lower in the short term. I think the bottom is very, very near. But what does this mean for Crypto.com against Bitcoin? We will talk about that in a moment, but I do think we are very bearish on Crypto.com against the BTC pair. If we're looking at this on the weekly, you can really see there's not a lot happening. Bears are in clear control of the higher time frames. So let's jump into the lower time frames. On the daily, once again, bears in clear control. We're showing extreme weakness right now. When we were previously breaking bearish, you know, from the all-time high here, you can see a few times we tried to hop over the EMA ribbons, but now we're seeing the complete opposite. We're coming back, we're retesting, getting rejected, but you can see these last times where we've kind of come up to it, we really haven't even come remotely close whatsoever. On the daily time frame, you can see we're putting in another red green red formation. This is a bearish technical analysis pattern. You can see whenever we do these, you can see red green red break down the next day, red green red. We actually had a pump before the breakdown, but this red green red just formed another red green red, which absolutely capitulated. Once again, tiny dead cat bounce, but the majority of the time you see these red green reds, they normally capitulate, and they're normally top signals. Like here you can see red green red capitulate, but a lot of the time you see these red green reds after having a bounce or a somewhat bounce. You can see like here, massive drop, tiny bounce, and then come back down, red green red breaking down. I think this is kind of what we're seeing at this moment in time. And looking at, let's see, is this best to find on the 4 hourly? No, I think we'll stick with this on the daily. But once again, you can see it looks like we're bear flagging to the downside. and it doesn't seem like we've broken to the downside of it yet. Although depending on how you draw it, you might want to draw it like this and then consider it a pennant. I think the best way to draw it is the most amount of data points. So I would draw it like this, and as you can see at this moment in time, we are kind of capitulating on / slightly below, so I would be very, very cautious on this one. You can also see the last time we did something like this was here. We got a slight bearish pennant, and if I actually draw these, because I didn't previously draw this, it depends where you want to draw this from. The annoying part about this one is it's kind of wonky, but I guess you can draw it like this. This would make sense in my opinion. And if you draw this previous breakdown, what you can actually see is we perfectly filled the previous price target of this bearish flag breakdown, and now once again we have another bear flag in town. Do I think we're going to break down to the price target of this? I don't think so. I don't think 5 cent would be on the table. You know, this would be price discovery to the downside for Crypto.com. And while I'm not the biggest fan of Crypto.com at this moment in time, I think they messed up the card scheme. And if you saw what they did, where they tried to take away profits from Luna traders recently, I'm just really not the biggest fan on Crypto.com whatsoever. I'm still going to give the analysis from a completely unbiased perspective. I won't bring my opinions into the chart, but you know, looking at this in an objective manner, it really does seem like we are bearish on pretty much every scale. Hopping into the daily once again, you can see this was the previous accumulation range before the run, and we're back in this range. As we've kind of come up, got rejected from the range, and we're bear flagging / red formationing down, I think it's only likely that we're going to come down to 14 cent. And I actually talked about this. I think we were somewhere around about here. It was maybe 3, 4, 5 days ago. I said we were going to break down. We've only moved down a tiny bit. But you can see I would honestly be predicting another 23% move to the downside, at least on the daily for Crypto.com. I think it could get a lot worse than this, especially if Bitcoin has a mass capitulation. But at least at this moment in time, I'm not DCAing. I don't have any price targets where I'd be looking to buy. Really, I think if Crypto.com went all the way to like maybe 5 cents, 7 cents, I'd be able to buy my Crypto.com Visa card back for like a more than a 70% discount. Where are we now? Because I remember they changed the visas. I think we were around here, and I sold literally as they changed the visas, probably judging by how much volume was coming into this day. I think this is where they changed the visas, and I did it the next day. So we're currently about 39% down from when I sold my Crypto.com. If we move down to, let's say, 7 cent, I could buy my Visa card back for a 75% discount. I might consider that at this moment in time. I'm really not interested in buying altcoins. 4-hourly time frame to wrap things up on the USD chart. Bulls are already losing momentum after this little bunny hill. I talk about these bunny hills in a lot of my videos, but you can see we have these bunny hills into the moving averages, specifically the EMA ribbons, which are obviously a set of moving averages. But you can see we flip on the lower time frames, being the 4-hourly time frame. We have these tiny bunny hills that correlate to these rejections in the price on the EMA ribbons, and every single time we've done them so far, we do capitulate to lower price targets, especially while we're not breaking above the top of these. So until we break above, you know, 20, 21 cent and then pick up some momentum to the upside, I would unfortunately be thinking Crypto.com has lower to go. So all time frames on the USD chart, in my opinion, point to lower price targets. What does the Crypto.com BTC chart say? Now, to start with, this is one of the most ugly, horrendous, disgusting charts I've ever laid my eyes on. Like, where do we even begin analyzing a chart like this? This chart is horrible. It's just a straight run up, an M pattern, a straight run down, accumulation, a straight run up, emming down, and then a straight drop to the downside. This is an ugly chart, and I don't think drawing Fibonacci's on this would do any justice to anyone. I don't think drawing moving averages on this would do any justice to anyone, because as far as I can tell, we really have these euphoric swings where at some periods in time, if Crypto.com plays their cards right, they outperformed Bitcoin. During this first run, I remember, because this is where I first got my my Visa card, but Crypto.com heavily outperformed Bitcoin when it was, oh no, was it actually here? Let's see, so October 21, it was October 21. Yeah, this was actually here, my bad. But this was when the Matt Damon ads were playing and they were advertising the hell out of their Crypto.com cards. Because of that, they managed to outperform Bitcoin. I don't know what they did back here. Maybe it was just hype or something, but it does seem like, you know, we basically just have these big moves up, big moves down. And in my opinion, they're not playing their cards right at this moment in time. They're being a very subpar exchange. And like I said, I don't want to bring my opinions into the analysis, but the matter of the fact is, a lot of other people agree with me. A lot of other people are selling their Crypto.com. It's very evident with what we're looking at in the charts that people are kind of selling and, you know, moving on to different exchanges. I know that that's what I've done. I wouldn't necessarily be against buying it again because, you know, as I always say, I don't love them, I don't hate them, I trade them. If I think that I can buy Crypto.com and it will make me money, I don't care if Crypto.com's out to kill my cat, I will go out and, you know, make that money on that trade. I'm just kind of joking with that one, but, you know, still I would trade even if I don't necessarily like the crypto. And I do think a good trade for this will be happening at some point in time, but it seems like we're finding a tiny bit of support here. I do imagine we're going to capitulate, mainly just because I do think all these other altcoins are going to capitulate. I am of the opinion that basically everything is going to be going down in the next month or so. You can see if we did come down to this trend line, this would be about another 35% drop against Bitcoin, and if we came all the way down here, this would be a 36% drop. So for us to move that far down, we'd really have to capitulate hard, like much lower than this and much lower than this as well. So we would have to go into price discovery to the downside at that moment in time if price discovery does happen. So you can see if we did break below 7 cent, it can go a lot lower and it can get a lot uglier. So we really do need to be careful right now. Looking at this objectively, we're just bear flagging. You can see huge bear flag, and then we tried to pull flag up, fake, move down, bear flag, move down, bear flag, and once again it looks like this next move to the downside, it is literally going to be unfolding in the next couple of days or so. So like I said, I think Crypto.com's moving down. It's pretty evident that on all time frames, especially against Bitcoin, that we are exceptionally bearish right now. So I do think Crypto.com's going to move down, not only against Bitcoin but against the US dollar. I especially think that Bitcoin is going to be outperforming a lot of these altcoins very soon. Well, it already is, but I think it's just going to happen a lot more brutal and a lot more fast. One thing to finish up on before we do wrap up the video, you can see this triangle pattern that we formed before the 2018 bear market looks very similar to what we're seeing at this moment in time. What does this mean for me? This means that I've already been smashing DCAs on Bitcoin. I love buying Bitcoin at 29,000. I loved buying Bitcoin at 50,000, so I love buying Bitcoin at 29,000, and I'm gonna love Bitcoin at 22,000 if we do go down to there. That is my personal price target. Let me know what you think of that down below. That is where I'm going to be DCAing the majority of my Bitcoin, but also I might be finally looking at picking up some altcoins because we've done pretty well recently sitting on the sides. You can see all of these altcoins are massively dropping against Bitcoin. So I'm only holding Bitcoin right now. I have a tiny bit of some other hodl bags, but nothing really special. So that is all I've got for Crypto.com. Hope you found value in this video. As always, cowboy out. Peace.